Hi, I am Trinity 6, and this is the Limitless Infinite, and this is a space where we try to align your mind to higher vibrations and high frequencies. This video today is really just spawned from this not so random, but random, as I was going to say, thought that I had. And this is what it was. I was thinking about the word me because so much of the work that we're doing now is, individual. We talk a lot about doing individual work, individual energy clearing, and, individual inner gnosis and inner knowledge and our inner path and our inner journey. And so I was thinking about me, it's like a lot about me. And this is also kind of talking about our ego and what I like to call ego integration. I don't think your ego ever really dies, but it's really about integrating all of these energies as part of yourself and your personal journey. And a lot of people always talk about the journey within, going further and further within. But the journey of me, I was thinking, man, that word, because I've been doing a lot of like weird wordplay and kind of understanding the construction of words, and I was like, kind of the upside down of me. So if you think this light, this like this body and this physical world, this is kind of me. This is me in the light. This is me upright. And I was thinking, like, what is the other side? And I don't want to say shadow self because I don't think it really is shadow. But what is like the other? What is the opposite? What is the reflection of what I am as an individual? And this is kind of like when people say, what is as above, so below. But it's really about, we're always saying like our inner journey is so reflective of like the whole journey of the cosmos. And so I was like, what is this reflective quality of me? And so I just was thinking in my brain like me, and then I was like, whoa, if you just like put a line and you flipped me upside down. So the reflective quality, the upside down version of me is actually we. And so this really got my gears turning because I have been a pretty big believer about this one especially, the collective soul. And so that one came up initially, and as I started thinking about it, I was like, wow, if you take me and we and you think here's me in the light, but then this reflective, this sort of upside down, this opposite, this inner under version of myself is really at the base this we. So or we is actually like a sort of integrated part of me, but you would never know unless you kind of did a little bit of wordplay. So then as I was applying it to my inner knowledge, I was thinking, oh, there's really like these three layers to me and we, and to me it's kind of almost associated with these three different bodies and these sort of three bodies that we have within ourselves. And so there's sort of a me-we layer within each. And so this video is really just kind of going about that. So the first layer, and I actually kind of went off of this. So it's kind of each one is a further out perspective, a deeper perspective. I suppose if you wanted to go the other way, it would be a closing in perspective. So it's really just kind of however you want to look at it. But I kind of started with me as the individual because so much of our life here on Earth as human beings, and I think for a lot of people, just how you're raised and how you grow up, it's all about your individual life, your individual journey. So much of your life is sort of programmed and structured around you as the individual. And so we are learning to break free from that. We are learning to expand our consciousness and expand our mind outside of that. And so I kind of went from that perspective going out because it is a journey. It's sort of a journey outward, but inward too. So the first part of it is me, which is like your individual personality. You grow up thinking, oh, this is my personality, the personality you have day to day when you interact with people, when you interact with family, friends, etc. The choices, the kind of choices that you make, the characteristics your individual personality has. And me sort of going through my awakening, I realized, I'm really a collective soul. So what that means is part of my collective soul is actually a lot of these different energetic qualities or essences that I have from previous lifetimes, from previous, like maybe even beliefs, or energetic qualities that I have. So if you're anybody that has done, depending on your spiritual beliefs, you would know that you have, there's a whole line, a lineage that you get sort of on an energetic level, but also on a biological level from your bloodline, from your actual genetic heritage. And then there's all these qualities that you get on an energetic level. And so the energetic qualities aren't necessarily exactly the same as the biological. So you may have lived many past lives in different planets, different star systems as different beings. You may have lived as a rock, as a tree, as a, piece of dirt, but also as a human or as an animal. So you have all these different lifetimes. And so the consciousness that you have as those beings is part of your collective soul. So that is the we part of you. So I feel like, this side of life that we have here on earth, what we are sort of initially, or have been for a very long time, this idea that we're programmed under is you're just you. You're just you. You're just like the individual, your characteristics are your characteristics, and that's it. And it's not until you start to kind of awaken yourself to these other ideas, you realize, whoa, I'm not just me. Or like the reason I am me, the reason I have these certain characteristics in this lifetime, the reason my personality is this way this lifetime does have something to do with your environment. You are essentially a product of your environment, how you're raised, the people that you're surrounded by. But you also have qualities and characteristics that come from previous past lives, that come from your genetic bloodline, that might come from your zodiac sign. There's a lot of people that really relate to their zodiac signs, and their personality really imbues the qualities of each of the sign that they are. So this is understanding that your individual personality isn't really individual. So that me that you thought was just you is really a we. It's really a collection of all these things, all melded together. And I kind of have funny because I've noticed in the last couple of years, especially since I've been awakened, that I have different laughs, and I feel like what I think is funny is that it is actually kind of a wide range of stuff, but I've noticed in particular that certain types of things that are funny, certain types of comedy, or I laugh a certain way, and then other things I have like a completely different laugh. And I am really have in the past couple of years feel like it's different essences of my personality, or like facets of my personality, of my collective soul, that come out and laugh at certain things. So I have a part of my personality that laughs at one thing that another part of my collective soul might not necessarily think is that funny, but it's almost like I get a different laugh depending on what it is, because it's like this different part of me that's like coming to the surface and is like laughing out loud, like, oh my gosh, that's hilarious, like that relates to me in my lifetime, or just something that one particular essence of my soul thinks is hilarious and will laugh that way. But then when it's like a different part, it's like a totally different laugh. I don't know if this has happened to anybody else, but maybe pay attention to your laugh. It's really funny when you pay attention to it and you realize that you have these different shades of sort of reactions to things. And you'll definitely start, I think, to kind of tune into like which part of your soul is really becoming activated depending on the situation or experience that you're in. But when you do that, you can really start to notice that start to notice that you're really a collection. And this collection isn't meant to be like separate. It's really about it being all together, and all these combined essences that you are really come out as your individual personality here on earth. So this is layer one, and this is related to the mental body because it's your idea of you. You have become ingrained and programmed in your mind, in your brain almost, or in your mental body, about who you are and the definition of who that is, even by the definitions of what those words just were. So it's almost like there's like some parameters that are set by this particular lifetime or a particular incarnation, and those kind of get set into your mental body, or your mind, your brain, because that's the one that puts definitions on things. That's the one that would tell you are an individual. That is the one that tells you that you have a specific personality. And so when you start defining things with words, it puts parameters, it puts kind of parameters on things. And you kind of become ingrained in certain patterns of thinking depending on how you're using the words to define them. So your perception of yourself is, how does your mind view you? How do you think of you? It's like when someone asks you, like, who are you? Or like, what do you like? Or what do you don't like? Or how do you perceive me? Or even if you're observing someone else and you're perceiving them, it's your mind that's like, oh, they think they are funny, or they are beautiful, they're super nice, or they're not, or whatever it is. It's your mind that comes up with a lot of the definitions, and that's how we define. That's how we say, well, they have a personality that's like this, and your mind comes up with the words to help you put a definition to each individual person that you come across or experience. And so layer 2 is about the individual person. So instead of you applying your individuality to yourself, now you're applying you as a person to the collective human society. So what that is your perception of you within your human network. And to be honest, this could be also collective, sort of like any sort of collective energy on the other. So it could be even your place within, the planetary society. So even beyond human society, it's your place and how you view your place within this planet. So with, when we're taking into account even other species and other beings, I really just wrote it, I guess, as a human point, but it could be broader in the sense of you as an individual in relation to the planet. But what this is like, this is associated with your physical body, because it's how is the scale of this individual life that I live in this body perceived, and how is it relatable to other people, my place within society, my place within my human structure, my place within my understanding of how I apply my life experience to other people. It's almost like, reminds me of that film, oh, I forget the name of it now, Into the Wild, I think, and he like goes out into like the middle of nowhere, and he's basically in a bus by himself in the end. And I don't know if you've seen it, but if you've seen it, I'm really sorry, I was about to spoil it. But in the end, he's by himself, and he realizes, like, I think the saying is like that love cannot really be experienced without other people. Like, it's a really hard emotion to understand, like the all-encompassing part of what love is without its application to and with other people. So what that is you don't have a human experience without other humans. Even if you were born and then left in the middle of the woods and you literally fend for yourself for your whole life, you literally at least had the original relation of being inside your mother's womb and you being birthed. And so even if you added the extremely rare case of being left, and they even like have cases like this, like feral kids and stuff, but even then they end up relating usually with animals and other plants and things like that, which we also know is contain consciousness. But a lot of this physical body I related to the collective human society. So how you view your place, your individual me, to the collective we. And so that also is, we all, I think, during this time are coming to the idea that, we're here, incarnated here to have this human experience. And part of that is absolutely human relationships and how we relate to other people, and how are we sharing our energies with other people, and how are we affected by other energies, and what is our purpose here. And generally, anybody that thinks they have any kind of purpose on the planet, it's going to be related to other people. And your place and what you think your life is to be fulfilled here generally always is going to involve other people. And so if you have a purpose and a mission, there is absolutely at some point you're going to have to put the perspective of your individual piece, your part in the play, you're being a player in the game, and how it relates to everybody else. How do you treat other people in the play? How do you treat other people that are in the game? And how do you apply your individual knowledge of your individual personality and your collective soul to that of other people in the collective human society. And so the last layer that I really went over was, now we kind of zoom out one more time. And so the next zoom really has to do with your individual spirit, because now we're talking about, going beyond that. Like when we talk about our place in the planet, you could say like beyond, like, oh, our place within the solar system. But I kind of almost go beyond that. I go beyond and say, what is our place within the everything that's outside the planet? So, and that is really collective consciousness. So collective consciousness, a lot of people might just associate with the collective consciousness here on this planet, but we're finding out that this unified field of energy, consciousness that exists in every particle, means that there's consciousness in everything, which is everything outside of what this planet is as well. So what we can perceive as our solar system, as our galaxy, as our galaxy's place within the universe. And so how do you apply your journey as an individual spirit, the me that is you, on this conscious energetic level? So how do you apply that me that is your causal body? Some might say emotional body, but your causal body, how does that apply to the collective conscious? So what that is you have a mission and purpose. You might hear for Earth and what it is applied to your Earth incarnation. But that mission and purpose came from somewhere outside of planet Earth. So if you came down here to teach people, Reiki or be a healer, there was something outside this planet that gave you that purpose to come to this planet to be a healer, or whatever it is. I mean, it could be even, you came here to, be a pastor and preach about God. Well, some source outside of you, outside of this planet, gave you that purpose to come here and teach about God and preach about God. So no matter who you are or what you are, it's there's something higher, a higher level of consciousness that we as individuals, that we as a collective human consciousness, we as a personal collective soul, we as a person in human society, we have been given certain reasons to be here on Earth. And all of those come from the higher consciousness that exists outside this planet. And so obviously during this time, there's a lot of questions and opinions and belief about what that consciousness is. How is that related to our life here on Earth? And whether or not for some people it is religion, whether it's spirituality, whether it's, energy, it's many, many different things depending on what you really believe. And so that part of the layer, the me, the individual spirit, sort of the tiny individual droplet within the infinite nature of droplets that exist within the universe, within the cosmos. How is my one tiny individual particle piece or droplet part of this collective consciousness, and how does it affect the collective consciousness? How does me fulfilling my purpose here have an overall effect on everything? And you can look at it the other way. How does collective consciousness have effect on you as an individual spirit? But that's kind of like I said, you get from the higher consciousness coalesced into this purpose that you've been given in this consciousness that is you and your incarnation here. And I'm actually going to give a quote. It's a really good one. It's from the movie A Wrinkle in Time, and I believe Oprah Winfrey's character said it, but they're kind of in this situation, and she says to the girl that's the character in the movie, she's like, do you know how many different decisions, events, actions all had to take place, all, for us to be standing right here in this moment? And that's kind of, to me, a really great quote that goes along with how does your individual spirit, how does that relate? How does the me, we, how do I, me, relate to the collective consciousness, we, which is everything that has ever happened before you, even if it was like a rock being kicked 2 inches, a decision that somebody made 1,500 years ago, a plant that died 10 million years ago, a meteor that hit nothing and just went flying off in space. All of that, all of these individual, seemingly infinitesimally non-related things all had to coalesce and happen in order for you to be here, for you to be watching this video, for me to be telling you about this information, for this to even have come into my brain. So all of that, it's like, when you think about it that way, it's like, whoa, that's kind of cray that all of that stuff, and just one tiny little part of that not having gone the way that it did might completely change your ability to be here in this space, watching my video, sharing this space with me, my ability to be here telling you about it, our ability to be within this collective conscious right now that's happening on the planet, for us to even be in human bodies here on Earth. So a lot of things had to happen. And I think it was a really great perspective, the quote in the movie, because it really made you understand, like, it's so hard to imagine your individual, like what you provide, your individual purpose when you're kind of zoomed out that far, when your perspective is like way out to like the galaxy or the universe. It's like, yeah, I like feel like I'm nothing compared to all of that. It is pretty much like being a tiny ant and trying to look at it from space. It's really hard to understand how that tiny little thing, adds to the overall picture. But the idea is that every little thing did in order for us to be here right now during this time. And it's really important to kind of understand that perspective. So in a way, this sort of reflection, which I'm kind of I don't want to call shadow self, because I don't think it is just shadow self, but it is the sort of like the unseen side. So I'll say the sort of reflective side. Like, you have to be able, it's like if you're standing in a puddle of water and your reflection's in it, you have to consciously be able to look at this opposite, this reflection, this other hidden side, in order to know that it exists. And so we tend to walk around a lot as individuals, living our lives as me's, and really being focused on our individual life and what we want, what we desire, and our individual purpose. And especially now when a lot of us are talking about individual work and our individual journey, and our the journey is to go within. But when you go deeper within, you tend to, in this case, notice that you have a much more interconnectedness to a greater we than you ever did before. So when you go in and you realize that you're just like a collective soul, you're a collection of energies, of essences, when you look at yourself, you realize you cannot exist singularly. You have to be sort of embedded in this network of we, and your individual spirit, in which your whole existence here in this moment, in this time, could not have happened without all this other collective consciousness doing everything that it has done. So the journey within only gives you a bigger reflection that, as an individual, it really is about we coming together for us to all find our me's coming together. I don't even know if that makes sense. But anyway, I just want to share this video because I was thinking about me and just like totally flipped the word upside down in my mind. It's like, whoa, that makes total sense. And then just pretty much came into this information, just was in my brain, and I really wanted to get it out there just to kind of help people understand that, you sometimes, even on your spiritual journey or just your life evolution, we tend to start thinking a lot about the me journey and the us work, the individual work, and this like healing past traumas and dealing with past life stuff, and kind of you're trying to like basically reset yourself and kind of and your karmic ties and all this stuff. But that is so interconnected with the greater picture of we, and it's not just even we as humans, it's we as in everything. I just thought it was really important for me to be able to share this information with you. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below or in the email, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.